Move on to item 2, the approval of agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda, please? Mr. Guest,
So moved.
second that. Brenda?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can we have a vote on that, please?
Okay.
Please and thank you.
The vote's carried unanimously. With that being, we'll move on to item 3, disclosures of interest. Any? None being? We'll move on to item 4, approval of previous minutes. Any adjustments to the minutes? None being. Can I have a motion to receive, to approve, please? Mark?
So moved.
Oh, Mr. Hatfield, second that?
Yes.
Thank you. Can we have a vote on that, please?
Yes, again, please. I'm getting logged in.
Can I just confirm who moved and who seconded?
Mark Goslin and
Okay.
Mark Hatfield.
Thank you.
That motion's carried unanimously. With that being, we'll move on to item 5, business arising from minutes. Can I have a motion to receive and file, please?
So moved.
Mr. Preston, can I have a seconder on that?
Second.
Mr. Hatfield, thank you. Can we have a vote on that, please? That motion is carried unanimously. That being, we'll move on to item 6, unfinished business, none being. We'll move on to item 7, new business. Item 7A, 3 Morgan Drive. Could the applicant please come up to podium, state their name for the record, and we'll have the member of PAC introduce that item.
Kevin Snyer.
Kevin Snyer. Kevin, we're going to have Jennifer's going to introduce that item to us. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the committee members. The subject lot is located in a single and two-family residential R1 zone and contains 1,279 square meters of area. It's a corner lot and is supported by municipal sewer services and a on-site drilled well. The siting of the building is such that it has a setback to Vincent Road of 7.7 meters. The traffic bylaw does recognize Vincent Road as being a collector street, and as such does require a 15-meter setback. The request before you is to provide the variance for that. Staff consider it to be a reasonable request and not out of character for the neighborhood. The property next door actually received a variance similar to this to allow it to be built closer to Vincent Road as well. There's no other variances being requested in conjunction with this development. The dwelling unit does meet all other provisions of the bylaw. Notices were sent to property owners within a 50-meter radius. No concerns have been received, and staff have no concerns at this time with the application. I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Mr. Schneier, you would receive the same package we did in the mail. Anything you'd like to add or discuss prior to members of PAC or members of the public asking some questions?
Nothing to add. If there's any questions, I can try to.
Okay, perfect. Any members of PAC have any questions for Mr. Schneier? It's Mr. Schneier, right?
Snyer.
Yeah.
Yes.
None being. Anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time, is there anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? None being, would a member of PAC like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions? Mr. Hatfield.
I'll put a motion forward. The PAC approves the request for a 7.3 meter street line setback for section 8E1A of the zoning bylaw number 038 to permit the construction of a single family dwelling with the accessory dwelling unit such that is observed a 7.7 meter setback from Vincent Road at Morgan Drive, PID 303447882, subject to the following condition. A development permit and building permit are sought from the town prior to any construction of the proposed dwelling unit.
Thank you, Mr. Hatfield. Mr. Preston, you want to second that?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any debate on the motion? None being, we have a vote on that, please. That's carried unanimously. In 3 to 5 business days, or 5 to 7 business days, have your letter in the mail. Please work with the town to have all necessary documentation in place. Good, best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
That being, we'll move on to item 2, which is 62 Grafton Drive. Could the applicant please come up to the podium? We'll get Jennifer to introduce that item ahead of time on the way up. Jennifer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the committee members, the applicant are requesting a 0.3 meter setback to both side property lines and rear property line at 62 Grafton. The lot area is 1,698 square meters. It is supported by an on-site drilled well and municipal sewer service. The applicants are seeking a 0.6 meter setback because we can't cut it down to 0.3. It's too small. From variance of section 6S7, this is to allow the proposed fence to be located on or near the property line. Notification letters were sent to the impacted neighbors at 58 and 66 Grafton, as well as 93 Canterbury Court. No concerns have been received from them. The reason for the fence is to keep the deer out while allowing the owners to enjoy their backyard to the fullest. Staff have no concerns at this time, and as I suggested earlier, no concerns have been received concerning the development. I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jennifer. Could you please state your name for the record, please?
Eleanor McDonald.
Eleanor
MC.
McDonald. Ms. McDonald, you would have received the same package we did in the mail. Anything you'd like to add or discuss prior to PAC asking you some questions or members of the public?
No, the only thing is, if only the government could find some way of getting rid of the deer.
Someday.
I think all would appreciate it.
All right, thank you. With that being, any members of PAC have any questions for the applicant? Brenda?
Not so much a question, just a comment. You have a very attractive property, and I'm happy to see you're going to look at nice fencing. It's going to be very attractive. So I don't have a problem with what you're doing. Now, I like the deer, and we're on their turf, so they're welcome anytime to wander through. Yeah, they don't do that.
Any other questions for the applicant? None being, is there anyone online or in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time, is there anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? None being, would a member of PAC like to put a motion for with terms and conditions, please? Mr. Guest.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I put forward the motion that the Planning Advisory Committee approve the 0.6 meter fence setback variance from section 6S7 of the town zoning bylaw number 038 to allow a fence to be erected such as located on or near a portion of both side property lines and along the rear property line is depicted in the site plan at 62 Grafton Drive, PID 30341861. The following terms and conditions shall apply. 1, a location survey is required prior to the installation of the fence to ensure the municipal infrastructure is not impacted by the installation of the fence. 2, lot lines are clearly delineated prior to construction. If the property pins are not identifiable, a professional surveyor licensed by the province of New Brunswick be hired to locate and mark the property lines. Number 3, the fence shall be maintained in a condition of reasonable repair and shall not be allowed to become and remain in a condition of disrepair, including noticeable leaning toward an adjoining property or sidewalk, missing sections or slats, broken supports, non-uniform height, and undergrowth of weeds or vines. And number 4, a development permit is obtained prior to any construction.
Thank you, Mr. Guest. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Mr. Hatfield?
Second.
Thank you. With that being, can we have a vote on that, please?
Question.
Oh, go ahead. Question, Brent?
Question for Jennifer. Should that be a development permit or a building permit? Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you, that would be a development permit.
yeah.
Thank you. We'll make that adjustment. Thank you. Can we have a vote on that, please? That motion's carried unanimously. In 5 to 7 business days, you have a letter in the mail. Please work with the town to have all necessary documentation and paperwork in place. And best of luck keeping the deer out. I think you gotta get a permit from the town. You have to come in. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Were you advised of the variance as a result of a development permit application? Okay, I can look into it tomorrow morning and I will write you an email and advise what it is that you're going to need. As soon as the permit is issued, Fundy Fencing can be on site. You're welcome.
Thank you. That being, we'll move on to item 7C, 147 Model Farm Road. Could the applicant please up the podium? State your name for the record, please.
Patrick Morehouse.
Patrick Morehouse?
Morehouse.
Okay. Jennifer, you want to introduce this item, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the committee members, we're looking at an application at 147 Model Farm Road for a detached garage to be located in the front yard and requiring a street line setback to Model Farm Road. The subject lot is in the rural zone. It has 4,113 square meters of area and is not supported by municipal sewer or municipal water. All services are provided on site. The detached garage is proposed to be approximately 6 meters beyond the front line of the main dwelling on the lot, and therefore does require a variance. Section 2501AI states that no accessory building or structure may be placed, erected, or altered, and except in the case of an agricultural use within a front yard. That is not the case here, so a variance will be required. Section 2501AI requires that it be set back a distance of 15 meters from a street line. There's approximately a 5-meter setback, so they'll require a 10-meter variance. The front of the lot is screened by a large hedge. There's also, so with the street setback, it won't be a garage sitting right in the middle of the yard. There's screening that is present. The reason that they haven't gone to put the garage towards the back of the yard is that there's limited area on the side, on the southern side, and on the northern side of the property, it is hampered by a large hedge and an apple orchard, so making it almost impossible to reach the backyard. We did ask to find out where the septic system was, just to make sure that it was not located in the front yard, and we did receive a site plan from Black Fox Builders that indicated that it was in the side yard and not where the proposed detached garage is going. No other variances are required for the construction. We sent notifications to properties within 50 meters. No concerns have been received, and staff have no concerns at this time. I'm available to answer any questions the committee might have.
Thank you, Jennifer. Mr. Morehouse, you would have received the same package we did in the mail. Anything you'd like to add or discuss prior to members of PAC or members of the public asking some questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any members of PAC have any questions for the applicant? None being. Anyone online or in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Oh, go ahead, Brenda.
What are the other outbuildings for that are, you see in the picture? Okay, so what's the limit of buildings you can have in one lot?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that is 3, and for a maximum lot occupancy of 30%, I believe that they're within their,
That is one building together, and that's in the background? So this will make 3 buildings, I guess?
that's correct. 3 accessory buildings. The main dwelling is not included in that
Okay,
count.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Any other questions for the applicant? None being, would it, oops. Secondly, anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time, is there anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? None being, member of PAC, I'd like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions. Mr. Goslin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll put a recommendation forward that the advisory committee approve a 6.0 water variance, section 2501AI of zoning bylaws number 038, and a 10.0 meter street line setback variance from section 2501A11 of the same bylaw to permit construction of a detached garage such that is located 6.0 meter beyond the front line of the main dwelling while observing a 5.0 meter setback to the street line of 147 Farm Road, Model Farm Road, PID number 30024962. Should be subject to the following terms and conditions. Number 1, the exterior finish of the detached garage is to be cladding recognized by a National Building Code of Canada, current adopted edition. Number 2, the proposed garage is not to be used for the keeping of livestock or as a home business. Number 3, confirm with the Town of Quispamsis Engineering Department that the proposed garage location will not interfere with future street upgrade to the model farm general area, and a building permit is issued for the construction of the detached garage prior to construction.
Thank you, Mr. Goslin. Can I have a seconder on that? Mr. Preston?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any debate on that motion? None being, can we have a vote, please? That motion's carried unanimously. Please, in the next 5 to 7 business days, you have a letter of approval in the mail. Please work with the town to have all necessary documentation and paperwork in place. And best of luck on your garage, building your garage.
Have a good night.
You're welcome. Thank you. With that being, we're going to move on to 33 Pettingill Road. Could the applicant please come up to the podium, please? Thank you. State your name for the record, please.
Francis Cadet.
Francis Cadet. Mr. Cadet, we're going to have Jennifer introduce that item for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the committee members. Before you is a request for a similar to or compatible use for that of a counseling office to operate at 33 Pettingill Road, which is zoned neighborhood commercial. Subject lot is 2,093 square meters. It has been home of the Fundy Physiotherapy Clinic for the last 20 years. It was rezoned from single family to neighborhood commercial in 2005, and as a result entered into a Section 39 development agreement, which an application was received in 2023 to discharge from the property, and that was approved by council, and the discharge registered with Service New Brunswick. The reason I'm speaking of this is that during that time, the PAC provided comment about the discharge, and it was noted that one of the conditions of approval was that the existing buffers be enhanced along the rear and sideline abutting the residential properties. So that condition, we would like to make sure that that's carried through this process. There are several professional offices that are permitted within the neighborhood commercial use. One that is not listed as counseling, but that's why we're bringing it forward as similar to and compatible with. More than one use is permitted within a building in the neighborhood commercial zoning, so that is meeting the requirements of the bylaw. We did check for parking to ensure that there was enough parking available. The bylaw requirement is 9, and a review of the site identified 22 parking stalls, so it's considered to be quite sufficient by staff. And the number of employees, I'll point out, are restricted under section 15(1)(c) to 2 professional employees and 3 support staff. And so with two offices operating out of there, that each would be permitted to have that, so a total of 4 professionals and 6 support members, a total of 10 employees on site at any one time would be recommended. We did send notification letters to property owners within 100 meters. No concerns have been received, and staff have no concerns at this time. I'm available to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Mr. Gadet, you would have received the same package we did in the mail. Anything you'd like to add or discuss prior to members of PAC or members of the public asking some questions?
I am just confused over this 2023, what happened there?
Jennifer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the applicant. There was a development agreement that was associated with the land. The landowners at that time requested that that be discharged because they'd met all of the requirements of the development agreement, and it was being dissolved. So the council agreed to discharge that. But during that review, it was noted that the buffers at the back of the property and along the sideline that's with the residential property didn't meet the requirement of the 3-meter buffer, so they're just asking for some enhancements along there to provide a bit more buffer, so some trees and shrubs to be added.
So why didn't the owner at that time do that? I'm just wondering, why is it me now, 2 years later? Why, do you see what I don't know. That's why I'm confused over the,
We could.
Who was supposed to do that before? That's what he's asking.
Is-
Why is he on the hook for it
Well,
now?
I
not
understand,
before?
and I'm trying to come up with a
And was he notified when he put his application in that he had to do this, or?
It was only
Is he just finding this out tonight?
Friday.
Friday
Yeah,
when you
with
get
that
the
le-
report. This came out as I was writing the report, and I was doing my research, so the enhancement was recommended by the PAC during the discharge, and I'm just trying to carry forward that recommendation.
So the previous owner never did enhance the
It was noticed at the time of the discharge that there was not enough of a buffer in there, and it
residential property and
against the residential property, and this was the recommendation of the PAC, was to ensure that the buffers were increased.
What is a
That-
discharge? Excuse me, what is
So
a discharge?
it was registered against the property, the development agreement was registered against the property, and you have to ask for it to be discharged so you can remove it from being registered. So if you went on Service New Brunswick today, you would not find that same development agreement because it was discharged by the council. They said that we didn't require to have that any longer.
Because they want it to sell, is that it, in 2023?
I'd have to go back and look at the records as to why.
Yeah, they were selling the property in 23, that's why it came to us, because the physiotherapist was wanted, the people that were in the building wanted to sell the building.
Yes, they own the building, they've been there 20 years and they want to sell the building.
They wanted to sell the building, and if I recall correctly, when the building was there, when they put the building up in 20 years ago. that
2005.
meeting, I think there was a there must have been a covenant on the building by the town or whatever for development. And it was restrictive use, and they couldn't sell the building back to Townsend. Does that sound right?
Now, will I do that? Have to do that if I ever sell down the road?
No, because the building was
It's
rezoned.
already been discharged.
It's already been discharged, and the building was rezoned over to neighborhood commercial. It wasn't zoned, I don't think it was zoned neighborhood commercial previous to 2023, correct?
I believe that it was zoned neighborhood commercial back in 2005.
Oh, was it? Okay.
So that side bank now has flowers and stuff between me and a residential. So something needs to change there, like what else do I need? Then in the back, there's like 50 feet of trees and woods between me and the back. I don't know, am I supposed to discuss this later in?
Dwight, go ahead, Dwight.
Through you, Mr. Chair, a couple things. One is the discharge of the agreement was because it was very restrictive. Basically restricted it to the building could only be used for physiotherapy. That was it, end of story. So even though that the zone permitted other uses, the development agreement restricted that particular land use to a physiotherapy building. That was it. So it presented a challenge for the property owners to be able to sell and promote the use of the building beyond being a physiotherapy clinic. Which means if somebody came along and said, I wanted to put a physiotherapy clinic in there, great. If somebody came along and said, I wanted to put in some other use, i.e. a counseling service, you can't. So by removing that agreement, it took away that restrictive use of the property and then opened it up to what was permitted in accordance with the zoning bylaw. So I don't know off the top of my head what agreements are in place or if there's any moving forward, but that was the reason for it being removed. It presented a very restrictive use on that particular building for that physiotherapy, and that's all. I would recommend that we just sort of take that sort of discussion around the buffering and all that stuff offline, and then sort of revisit it as part of this process to determine what is necessary to what extent. Recognizing that PAC has made it a part of their recommendations for the discharge, I think we could revisit that given the use that's being proposed. We could review the bylaw relative to the buffering and see if there's some interpretation or some kind of application whereby we can link it to the use that's being currently proposed for that particular property. That's something that we can explore. I think the use is for a counseling service, if I recall correctly. So that level of use probably doesn't have the same impact if it was a cafe or a drive-through or something going in there. So I would recommend that we just sort of take that offline, revisit it through this process, and report back to PAC.
Would that hold up his approval, that we're gonna have to put it on hold, or approve it pending that outcome of that item?
You can approve it subject to
Okay,
We prove it's to the discretion of the
to the satisfaction of the town.
okay,
satisfaction of town
Yep.
/ planning committee.
Yep.
perfect, thank you. Does that satisfy your requirements?
I'm willing, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Any questions from members of PAC to the applicant? None being, is there anyone online or in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time, is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? None being, would a member of PAC like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions? Mr. Hatfield.
I'll put a motion forward that PAC approve the use of the Family Counseling Clinic, Family Matters Counseling Services under section 3.d1 on zoning bylaw 038 as a similar and compatible use at 33 Pettingale Road, PID 302-11387, subject to the following terms and conditions. The existing residential buffers be enhanced along the side and rear lines abutting residential property to meet the requirement of zoning bylaw 038, section 6.j. And the PAC notice of decision dated September 14, 2023 to the satisfaction of the department officer and subject to the satisfaction of the town. Number two, The total number of employees permitted on site at any given time is limited to 2 professional staff and 3 support staff for each permitted use within the building. 3, the landowner enters in a development agreement with the town.
Thank you, Mr. Hatfield. Mr. Colburn, does that cover what we want to talk about there? Or do we pull that out? Go ahead, Dwight.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think to the satisfaction of the development officer is sufficient, so we can visit the proposed use as it relates to the buffer and then to make a decision at a time. And so we can bring the decision, our decision, back to PAC to sort of close the loop on it.
Thank you, Dwight. Can we have a seconder on that? Mr. Guest?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any debate on that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I got a question here.
Yep.
So does the applicant will have to come back to PAC?
Through you, Mr. Chair, because the motion says to the satisfaction of the development officer, then you're passing that discretion back to the development officer.
Is that okay, Mark?
Yes, perfect.
Thank you. Can we have a vote on that, please? That motion's carried unanimously. 5-7 business days, you have a letter in the mail. Please work with the town. They have necessary documentation and paperwork in place, and best of luck.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good luck. See ya.
Next item on the line is 61 Roberts Lane. Could the applicant please come up to the podium, state your name for the record, please?
Ben Richard.
Mr. Richard, we're going to have Jennifer introduce that item for us. Jennifer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the committee members. The applicant is requesting a 0.3 meter side yard setback variance to permit the construction of an attached garage at 61 Roberts Lane. This is a lot that's located in a single and two-family R1 residential zone with a lot area of 1,393 square meters. The applicant is requesting this to build the attached garage for regular vehicle storage and household storage. The site plan, a revised site plan, we did get an original site plan, but then I instructed the applicant how to measure to the side, like by delineating the property line and measuring out, and it was discovered at that time that the setback requirement, or the setback that was available was 2.7 meters, meaning that he would require the 0.3 meter setback. Notice was sent to property owners within 50 meters of the subject property. No concerns were received, and staff have no concerns with the application at this time. I'm available to answer any questions the committee might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Mr. Richard, you received the same package we did in the mail. Is there anything you'd like to add or discuss prior to members of PAC or members of the public asking you questions?
No, sir.
Thank you. Any members of PAC have any questions for the applicant? Brent?
No.
Okay, you getting ready? That being, anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone online or in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time. Is there anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? None being, would a member of PAC like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions? Mr. Preston.
Mr. Chairman, make the motion Planning Advisory Committee approve a 0.3 meter side yard setback from section 8E1B of zoning bylaw 038 to permit the development of an attached garage such that observes a 2.7 meter setback to the shared side lot line with civic address 59 Roberts Lane at 61 Roberts Lane, PID 300-26983, subject to the following terms and conditions. 1, a site drainage plan is submitted for review and acceptance by the building inspection department. 2, the exterior finish of the attached garage is similar to the exterior finish and the main dwelling is to be clad and recognized by the National Building Code of Canada, current adopted edition, and 3, a development permit and building permit are issued prior to any work being commenced for the development of the attached garage.
Thank you, Mr. Preston. Can I have a seconder on that, please? Mr. Goslin?
So moved.
Thank you. Any debate on that motion? None being, can we have a vote, please? The motion's carried unanimously, 5 to 7 business days. You have a letter in the mail. Please work with the town, have all necessary documentation and paperwork in place. Best of luck. You're welcome. With that being, we're gonna move on to item 7F, Stephen W. Ryan subdivision. Could the applicant please, no applicant? Okay. Dwight, do you want to, is this gentleman here for any applications? Do you want to, Foxborough? Do you want to flip or no? Can someone make a motion to flip items H and F?
I'll put a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. With that being, we'll move on to the new 7F, Foxborough Ridge subdivision. Could the applicant please come up to the podium, state their name for the record?
Andrew Dunn?
Mr. Dunn, we're gonna have Dwight, you introducing that one, or is that Jennifer? Good to go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you to the committee. The Foxborough Ridge subdivision plan comes before PAC as it proposes the creation of public streets as well as land for public purposes. So under the provisions of the Community Planning Act, such plans have to be reviewed by the Planning Advisory Committee to make recommendations to council for their consideration, and then finally for the development officer to approve subsequent plan. As PAC is probably aware and recall, this plan and this development has come before them prior. The plan is being brought back to PAC because no portion of the previous plan was registered within the 1-year period. Therefore, any previous approvals or recommendations would have expired, so we have to revisit the plan again. As noted in my staff report, the other sort of element with this particular plan is the previous plans did not indicate the land for public purposes. At that point in time, the intent was to simply submit the subdivision plan to create the lots and the public street right-of-way with an amending plan to be subsequently submitted for a consideration of land for public purposes. At this point in time, all that's sort of come together into the plan that's now before PAC. As PAC would be aware, the public streets, Jitney Way, has been constructed to municipal standards based on engineering design. Access to the buildings on the property are by private access. Within those private access, there are local government services easements for services of sanitary sewage system. The private access have been constructed. They are hard surface, 6-meter driving surface, as I've indicated in my staff report. They sort of follow and do meet sort of the recommendations of the fire with respect to private access to the buildings. So the focus of the PAC's review would be with respect to the streets themselves, as indicated in my staff report. The location of Jitney Way is based on a traffic impact study that was done that shifted it up sort of north from where previous access was, so it will align with Southwood and create sort of a 4-leg intersection for any future upgrades, as well as providing a little more efficient traffic flow and providing appropriate stopping distances. It does provide a connection to Heritage. Obviously, there's a future street connection in between there that will eventually get built, but this particular development will be building that street to the extents of the subject properties as indicated in the subdivision plan. Land for public purposes, it's in excess of probably 50% of what's required based on the creation of these 2 lots. As I've indicated in my staff report, council has recently adopted a management plan for Ritchie Lake, And within that management plan, one of the recommendations is for us to start really looking at acquiring land, whether that's through outright purchase or through land for public purposes, any land which is in that Ritchie Lake watershed area, to ultimately assist with protection of Ritchie Lake, as well as we move to restoration of it. So this is an opportunity to grab an area that is delineated and identified as a wetland that will obviously assist in the protection of Ritchie Lake. So that aligns with the provisions of the subdivision bylaw with respect to considerations when accepting land that would be suitable for the intent of the land for public purposes within the subdivision bylaw. I think it pretty much covers everything that I would indicate at this particular time. I'm open to any questions PAC may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight. Mr. Dunn, you would have received the same package we didn't mail. Anything you'd like to add or discuss prior to questions from PAC or members of the public?
Nope, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any members of PAC have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Preston?
Two questions for the applicant. First question is Wetmore Boulevard. I'm assuming the infrastructure is being put in place to tie into the future street coming up off Heritage Court.
Yes.
Okay. Second question is Pettingale Road between lot 87-1 and lot X. There seems to, I'm not sure what you're doing there, Andrew. It's built up. It almost looks like a road. I don't think it's not gonna be a road. It's not gonna be a road because there's a building right behind it. I guess what's the intention there?
We were just putting dirt somewhere.
Okay, so just landscaping, tidying it up. Okay.
Thank you, Brent. Any further questions for the applicant? None being, anyone online or in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone online or in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time. Is there anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? None being, would a member of PAC like motion for or against? Recommending the acceptance of the public street location LPP is shown on the plan. Mr. Hatfield.
I put a motion forward that the PAC recommend acceptance of the public street location and the LPP as shown on the plan and keeping up with the intent of the subdivision bylaws 035.
Mr. Goslin.
Second.
Thank you. Any further debate on that? Can we have a vote, please? That being, Planning Advisory Committee recommends the acceptance of the street names. You have a letter in the mail, 5 to 7 business days, and please work with the town. All necessary paperwork, documentation in place. Thank you.
Good luck. Thanks.
Dwight, any preference on Stevens subdivision or zoning? Oh, zoning's you? Both? Both of them are you? Oh, I didn't see it. Okay, sorry, got it. We'll move on to item 7F, Stephen Riley subdivision. Jennifer, you want to introduce this item for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What is before you is an application, well, not an application really, but for approval for a lot not fronting a municipal street. It's a subdivision plan for one residential lot to be created off 50 Chamberlain Road. The area is, although it's R1, it is not sewer serviced, and there is no municipal water services there, so all services have to be provided by the lot. The access into this area, I will say, will provide egress and access to 3 civic addresses if this plan is approved. The first is 44 Chamberlain, which will have to be, the address will have to be reassigned because, sorry folks, I'm just losing my concentration here. The private lane, the area that is now a private right-of-way, MB 911 requirements are such that if there are 3 or more civic addresses being serviced by the private access, it does have to be named. So it will become a private lane at this point if this subdivision is approved. Now the access into this lot or area is very steep. The proposed subdivision does identify a turnaround area that's proposed for the entrance to lot 20-2 and 25-1. That's to provide sort of a landing area, if you will, for fire service, anybody actually trying to access those lots. The fire trucks would need that area to turn around to be able to get back up. So that is all part of the registered street right-of-way, and it will impact the lots as shown in figure 1, I believe. So the current width of the access is 20 meters, but the driving surface is more like 4. We have reports from the fire department that have given a list of requirements, and one of them is that there be a 6-meter wide driving surface. So that would be a recommendation for the PAC for a term and condition. The grade of the private, it's recommended also that the grade of the private lane not exceed 8%. So this is to allow emergency vehicles to access and egress the lot with ease, and that's also recommended to be a condition of approval. We also recommend a hold harmless agreement with the town be entered into by the owner of the private access, and this is to sort of outline what the upkeep and maintenance of the private access and what standards must be upheld. And the agreement must include the recommendations of the KV Fire Department. They are identified within the staff report. We also would like the agreement to establish the lot owners acknowledge their responsibilities, expectations, and obligations of the property owners that use that access. That will all be part of the agreement. We are also looking for engineered design for that access to address any grade concerns, provide stormwater management plan, to identify any line of sight issues they might have, and the need for a stopping area at the intersection of Kenzie Lane and Chamberlain, where the grade is quite steep. There are public utilities that are also present on the plan. There's a 5-meter public utility that goes across where the access is at the top and then comes down the side of that access so as to provide utility to lot 25-1. As I said earlier, the servicing to the lot will all be on site, both sewer and water. This area is impacted by both a delineated wetland and buffer. Actually, there's just a very small portion of the proposed lot at the very top of it in the north eastern corner, I believe. Works out to be about 155 square meters that are not impacted by either the wetland or the buffer. The delineation was completed by the Department of Environment, and it was noted that a WAWA review for any development on the subject lot will be required, and it will most likely result in compensation for any destruction of wetland in that area during the course of development. That's including the private lane. This development is adjacent to Mud Lake. Mud Lake does drain into Ritchie Lake and is a regulated wetland by the province. We also have on file a draft Ritchie Lake management plan. It was provided by a consulting engineer and with the lens of creating a healthy environment for Ritchie Lake, improving the health of the lake overall. And one of the recommendations was for any land for public purpose in the Mud Lake or tributaries thereof to have some sort of controls and whatnot placed for the control of sediment draining into Ritchie Lake. So staff did recommend to the applicant that a portion of the lot at the bottom of the lot, if you will, that's impacted the most by the wetland, be used for the LPP. The requirement of the bylaw is 822 square meters of LPP, and what's being proposed by the applicant is approximately 2,500 square meters. So we would create a land bank for Sylphant Holdings for anything that was in excess of that. We have, the staff do have concerns about the access and ensuring that emergency services can, and other providers can actually reach these lots. That's why we're asking for the engineered drawings for the private lane. And we want to make sure that the ongoing maintenance and upkeep of the private lane and turnaround is done to avoid any future approach to council for them to take over the road. That's it for me for now, folks. If you have any questions, we're available to answer them. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Development Officer? I have a couple myself after, but go ahead, Brenda.
Me? Okay, my problem is that lot is the wetlands, except for a little portion. When, as a town, do we start saying no? Because you know, if they want for a Wawa permit, environment, I don't think has ever turned anything down. They let them do it. They get money and it goes somewhere, but it doesn't protect Mud Lake and Ritchie Lake. So cannot the town decide, okay, no development in these areas to protect our own environment instead of getting somebody else to say, yeah, okay. We know other developments, because you can see the mud running into Ritchie Lake and down the hill, and it's just horrible. And to see this, and now this is taking places on Mud Lake, and that's a wetland, but it's going to be picked away at for people trying to develop in that area. And that's where I have my big problem. We seem to be bending over backwards to make these things work, whereas we should be standing up and saying, no, no more. We're done. This is the land that we have to protect within our town. And it seems like we never say no. We put things in place, and environment says, okay, but you have to give me money. It should be surveyed and said, okay, any land in this area, we're not going to allow to be developed. This is it, that's it. You come to town, you're not gonna develop it. Maybe the town could purchase some of the land to give them some compensation, but we have to say no. So you know where I'm going with this. My answer is no. Anyway, that's just my.
Jennifer, to add to Brenda, where, on that sliver of land, where can they build? Is that only in the hatched area they can build if they get a permit? They can't build the lower half, because that's a
I was thinking you would
a regulated wetlands from the Department of Environment. They can't build there.
Yeah, let's bring it up.
No, I think it's only the top part they can build in, isn't it? Just from the top right hand down to the hash, where just above where it says 25-1, I think. From there up, I think that's the only place they can build. I just need to get clarification. And
We haven't received, of course, a building application at this time, so it hasn't been indicated to us where they wish to place a house on that lot. That's why my staff report mentioned about the compensation for the wetland, because in my view, wherever they put the house in that lot,
it's gonna get wet.
it's in the wetland. So that's why the compensation statement was in the staff memo.
Yeah, for sure. No, I understand that. It's just
In addition,
like, yeah, that's
I'm not sure if I understand 100% everything here. Can you show me on the map what is potential for development, I guess? That must be above the light blue?
So there's a like red kind of triangle at the top that goes down through.
that's that property we're talking about right there. It goes right
Yeah.
down in there. Yeah, so they can only build, it's a wetland all in the upper half, and they can't build in the lower half.
this is provincially significant.
Yeah, can't build there, guaranteed,
They would be permitted to build in here.
with a Wawa permit.
Absolutely.
Any development on this lot will need a Wawa permit.
Yeah,
And they get it.
And anything above does not need any Wawa.
Up here, you're still in a buffer zone.
In the buffer zone, okay,
So you'd still be
Yeah.
okay.
The only area in this lot is right here. That isn't impacted by.
And that darker area, you can't even build there, you can't even get a permit there.
Down here.
Yeah, like,
No, no.
yeah, like,
You wouldn't build there.
well, some people would try to fill it in.
But through negotiations with this is why we're trying to solidify this as being LPP, so we can actually have some control over.
Not enough.
It doesn't say LPP on our plan, though. On the Don Moore surveys, there's no LPP there.
So can we put LPP in the recommendation?
Yes.
That's how we get it right.
Once it goes to council for assent, it would then need to be upon the plan.
Oh, it has to, okay, we're just looking for it going to council approval.
So there's a house already built there, right? At the bottom?
Next to, where
Yeah.
that clearing is.
That's correct.
Where, yeah, you can see it right there.
That's lot 20-2.
Okay.
Do they have any significant flooding there, do we know?
I spoke with the landowner and he indicated that it wasn't as wet as what Department of Environment had indicated,
But it's been a dry year.
but that's what I said. Everything's been dry this year.
If you find some water now, you're lucky.
So is this the same applicant that we were dealing with in French Village with the road?
This is actually, Sylphant Holdings is acting on behalf of Josh Sylphant, who is landowner.
So it's the same scenario we get into before.
Okay. Dwight, you have something there?
Couple of comments. Regarding the LPP on the plan, PAC has the authority to, if they want to see what that looks like on the plan, as they are considering the plan and it's absent, they have the authority to table the item, defer the item until they see the plan and they're comfortable with it, rather than looking at the plan and saying you're uncertain as to where it is and what that will look like. They have the ability to request that information as part of their consideration, because the Community Planning Act does require PAC to consider land for public purposes and what it looks like and if it meets the requirements and those types of things. So that is an option of PAC if they're having questions about what that looks like and where it's going to sit. They could ask that to be on the plan and then it be brought back to PAC. That's comment one. Comment two is through you, Mr. Chair, to just to comment on Ms. Valley's comments regarding land or wetlands and the town drawing a line in the sand and saying no more. That is where we are going. That is coming soon. The challenge is establishing guidelines and principles around what we say yes and no to. Right now in our zoning bylaw and our subdivision bylaw, which I'll refer to in a minute, it just says in the opinion of. And when you have context of in the opinion of, that's pretty broad.
Yeah.
And that can be open to interpretation and subjectivity, which I think it's important to have policies and things around. When these subdivision plans do go to the Department of Environment, they do review them. They obviously establish and provide their comments on it. They provide, in this particular case or similar cases where there's permanent impacts to the wetland, they obviously go through what they call a three-step process. One, can you develop without impacting the wetland? Essentially, can you move where you're developing elsewhere on the lot? Can you minimize the amount of impact? And if the development as it is, you cannot hit those 1, 2, then obviously you would have to compensate. They do provide a comment that says it is ultimately the municipality who makes the decision to say, yes or no, which I appreciate. And to go back to my original comment, we do need to establish in our zoning bylaws and our subdivision bylaws, what are those guidelines, what are those policy statements that we can apply to every case across the board. For example, we will be looking at if you're developing in a rural area and you require 1 acre to be able to put your well, septic, and house. Right now, that 1 acre can include the wetland buffer. What we are looking at from a planning perspective is defining what is developable, and developable will be 1 acre completely outside of wetland and buffer. So those are the things that we are presenting and drafting and going to be coming forward relatively soon to PAC as well as council, because we do need to establish common criteria that we can apply to every case. So when I see things like in the opinion of, it's very difficult. So just a couple of things. So right now in the zoning bylaw and in the subdivision bylaw, section 3A of the zoning bylaw says that no building or structure may be erected on any site where it would otherwise be permitted under this bylaw when, in the opinion of the planning advisory committee, the site is marshy, subject to flooding, excessively steep, or otherwise unsuitable by virtue of its soil or topography. So PAC does have that ability. But what that refers to is no building or structure may be erected. Doesn't mean you can't create the lot. So you can essentially create the lot. It's that building development of the lot which triggers PAC making that decision based on that particular article in the zoning bylaw. In the subdivision bylaw, it says the development officer shall not approve a subdivision plan if in their opinion and in the opinion of the planning advisory committee, the land is not suitable for the purpose for which it is intended, or that may not reasonably be expected to be used for that purpose within a reasonable time after the plan is approved. So in that particular case, it would be around the statements of the land is not suitable for the purposes for which it is intended. And again, it goes back to in the opinion of, so of the development officer and the planning advisory committee. I can speak on behalf of the development officer. When it says that the land is not suitable for the purpose for which it is intended, to me, I would need to have sufficient evidence to indicate to the contrary. Just to simply say it's a wetland, it's not suitable. If an applicant comes in and says, well, I can go down 2 feet and all of a sudden I hit hard pan and it supports the house, like, is the land suitable for the intended purpose? So it's, again, is that I'm just looking at it from the perspective of what is the criteria that's required to make that decision. And again, it's PAC's authority if they wish to say, you know what, we actually want more information to be able to make a reasonable decision to determine if the land is suitable, then PAC has that authority to request further information.
So Dwight, and add into that, wouldn't the applicant know what they're gonna do? Why would you subdivide that lot like that if you don't, well, there's gotta be a reason, they're building something or doing something, otherwise you would never do it. Why would you, there's a reason, so why don't we have the reason from the applicant, what they're gonna do there? Why would you wanna have a lot off the road and not do nothing with it? And have all that surveying and pay all that money? I don't get it. There's something somewhere that we're missing. Jennifer.
Through you, Mr. Chair, speaking with the applicant, it is their intent to build a single-family home
Yeah.
on that lot.
Okay.
That is the intent. We just haven't received any applications yet because, of course, the lot has not been subdivided.
Gotcha. So you know that then, okay, perfect. Then we go back to the private lane issue again, that we've been debating for a few years. Okay. Mark, Mr. Hatfield.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Colburn. Am I hearing this right, that the lot could get approved, but then it's not approved, it's approved lot, but it's not approved for building of a structure, and then the building of the structure would have to come back to PAC as well?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so, yeah, you can submit a subdivision plan to create a lot. Generally, we ask what is the intent to get a sense of what the lot's gonna be used for. But in terms of the provision of the zoning bylaw, that is triggered by the building or structure when that actually is gonna be built on the lot. It would come back to PAC if there is a reason to do so, right? for it have to be come back, whether that's a variance or in this particular case, the zoning bylaw says that no building or structure may be erected unless it has suitable access. By virtue of approving a private access, you are establishing that that access is reasonable through this process. So,
Thanks.
again, I always defer to, these plans come to PAC for recommendations. It is very important that PAC have all the necessary information that they require to be able to make that decision. So again, if you require the location of the LPP to get a sense of what that look is, PAC may also wish to consider if the intent is to construct a house, to demonstrate on that particular lot, where would the house sit? How much of that wetland is actually being impacted? Is it a very small portion of it? So you have that ability to make the determination on whether the lot is suitable for the intended purpose. And you can request that information and the item get deferred until you have that information to make the decision. If once LPP goes into the mix and goes on the plan, then it obviously goes to council to make the final acceptance of the LPP. That's part of your recommendations. You need to know that stuff moving forward. If PAC feels that it's important in this particular case, given the circumstances.
Perfect. Thank you, Dwight. Thank you, Jennifer, for providing us some insight there. Brenda?
Right now, we're approving a lot and a private lane, right? That's what the purpose is here tonight. So if we say as a PAC, they're not prepared at this time to approve a lot until the applicant comes back with more information, that's in our right to do so, right?
Correct.
So to me, I would be more comfortable if, as a PAC, we would support something like that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Dwight. You want to say something there, Dwight? Before?
Through you, Mr. Chair, just to PAC, yeah, as I've indicated, if you require more information with this application or any application, you have the right to request that. You just have to be specific in terms of what you're asking.
Land
Purposes or
Perfect.
how much land is actually going to be impacted, just some examples of things. Yeah.
Okay, before we do anything, any further questions? Anyone online or in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone in the audience or online willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time. Anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? None being, would a member of PAC like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion that PAC not approve defer decision on tentative subdivision plan for the creation of one single or two-family R1 residential building lot facing Municipal Street, 50 Chamberlain Road, PID 303-42943, subject to the following. Applicant is to show on the plan LPP for the town of Quispamsis, where the resident is to sit on the property, and permit from ELG for their septic system, as this is buffering a wetland or Wawa zone.
Permit from Wawa.
I want them to go to ELG, I think that's the department anyways, and start the process for septic. Public safety, sorry, wrong department.
Mark?
A second.
Subject approval.
Subject
Approval.
Public safety. Regardless with regard to their septic system as it's been a Wawa zone.
Mark has seconded that. Jennifer?
Just for clarity, you want to make sure that the septic would be approved for that lot. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate or anything else want to add to that? None being, can we have a vote on that, please? Thank you. That motion's carried unanimously to request more information from the applicant. With that being, we'll move on to the zoning bylaw is deferred. We'll move on to item 8. Can I have a motion to receive and file, please? Brenda?
So moved.
Mr. Guest?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can we have a vote on that, please? Motion carried unanimously. Item 9, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Seconder, Brenda?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Meeting has been adjourned.